Hello. So now I'm going to formally announce the Furige in Android project, where I'm going to attempt to check the performance of various Japanese freeware games when played in Android devices. So let's have an overview of what I'm going to talk. So first is rationale. Two is the video formats that I'm going to make. Third is coverage. Fourth is additional information. And last one is the advice to viewers. So first of all, why I am doing this thing? So I have found out that Android devices have become more common than PCs. And another advantage of Android devices compared to PCs are they are portable. Of course, they are laptops are also portable, but they are not as easy to carry as Android devices. So with the ability to play Japanese freeware games on Android devices will increase their appeal outside of Japan. And I mean, the mission of this channel is to bring the unseen side of Japanese gaming to English-speaking audiences, and I think this project would be a worthwhile thing to pursue. So next up is AdSax. Okay, let's get back to the video format. So one video per 2 weeks on both this channel and the Chinese language channel, and the gameplay will last for 10 minutes, and the games covered on both channels will be the same, but the videos will be separate. So essentially there will be 2 different recordings on the same game, and the difficulty chose, if there are difficulty selections, then the same difficulty will be chosen, which will be the easier ones most of the time, but the paths or characters used will be different. And this video series will not just include the games that I have streamed before, and will feature some exclusive games that I will not cover on other channels. And the videos will have commentary, as gameplay only videos are likely to breach content guidelines. And in recent years, gameplay only videos are increasingly prohibited, so I will definitely include commentary on these videos. So the first video will start on July 2025. I have just finished recording the first video, and after this stream ends, I'm going to record the second video. So okay, let's move to the next one. So now these are the additional information. So the device that I'm using is Meizu 21, which has the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 device. And I originally wanted to buy another device with MediaTek chipsets. It was supposed to be something like the Infinix GT30 Pro, but I have to switch to this because Snapdragon chipsets are better for emulation. Though another factor is that I need a phone which can do 4K recording on both sides on the both front and the back sides. And Meizu 21 is the cheapest phone with a Snapdragon chipset that can do this, and it's relatively cheap because it's pretty much an old phone at this point. I bought this phone over at Shopee about 1,800 with, and it's the 512 GB variant, which is incredibly cheap considering that normally you have to buy, if you buy this on retail stores, you have to shell out 2,400. So that's a lot of savings here. And setup information and performance evaluations will be included in the video description, just to make sure that you can follow my settings and all that. And the description text will include settings and peripheral views for transparency and referential reasons. So essentially, I think it's good for my viewers, aka you, to know what are the things that I use when doing the recording. So one thing to keep in mind that because I will be using recording software, then I'm using additional peripherals, then the experience and the performance parameters will be different when you just play the game. So keep that in mind. And the software used for playing the games would be Winlater, which is currently sits at 10.0.0 hotfix, and I will not be using forks. There's also Game Hub and JoyPlay, and as with JoyPlay, I also installed the RPG Maker plugin. And these three are relatively easy to use. There are also other software that I can use, but they are kind of hard to get used to, so I decided to abandon them. I attempted to run Zodos, but it returned with an error. By the way, if the games are compatible, Winlater will be used in the English channel and the Game Hub will be used in the Chinese channel. And let's check out the next slide. So here's the thing. So for Winlater, it will be the primary software for the games made using DX library and Hopsuit processor. And for these games, if they are compatible with Game Hub, they will be used for my Chinese channel. As for Wolf RPG editor, I have tested on both Winlater and Game Hub, and Game Hub has text display issues, so I'm sticking to Winlater only. And as for Action Editor 4, I have trouble having the game to even display on the Winlater containers, so Game Hub is the only viable option to me. And as for JoyPlay, it will be used for games made using RPG Maker, Tyranno Builder, and Ren'Py, though it's unlikely that I'm going to cover games made using Ren'Py anytime soon. So first of all, I need to tell what games will not be part of the project. So horror games, that's pretty much a given. Due to health related reasons, I cannot play horror games. RPG Studio won't be covered because the few games that I got it run on both Winlater and Game Hub gave very low frame rates. It's like 10 FPS, which is definitely not acceptable. And Suika 2 or Polaris Project, there was some really shady things about its creator, so I decided to exclude that. As for Unreal and Unity games, they require a lot of tinkering to work, and I think this is too much of a work for my viewers. And of course, I reserve the right to choose whatever game that I wanted to include. Though for other game dev software such as Pixel Game Maker MV, or other stuff like maybe Nscripter, I will need to test them, but those games will be either limited to either Winlater or GameHub, unless there's an update that adds additional compatible software for Joyplay. That would be another thing. And so as you can see, the peripherals used, there's quite a lot, and the primary peripherals are the controller, the Game Wing Albing Max controller, and as the controller of choice. There's also Holy Land Lard A1, which will be used as the microphone. It's the best price to performance to price ratio microphone that I can get. And I use the stand fan to cool down the environment. I am recording in a room without air conditioning, so the generic, I use thermometer to measure the temperature. Yes, the temperature information will be also included in the video description. After all, emulation, as in playing games, do produce heat. Though I will use a foam cooler to cool down the foam so the temperature increase won't be too much. And I use a tripod to stabilize things to allow a better recording setup. So performance rating will be written in the description. Blue means no problems whatsoever. Green would be mostly works fine except for performance hiccup, maybe a bit of loss FPS. And then yellow would be noticeable glitches or issues. So red rated games will not be posted. So if the frame rates are low or there are significant graphical problems or the controls have problems, then I will not post the video at all. I will just record another game. So, and my advice to viewers would be, the most important thing to do is to save up for a compatible phone separate from your regular devices, as using low-cost devices are not worth it. But if all you want to play are Yashiu style games made using Action Editor 4, yeah, you can get a budget phone. I mean, it runs very well on my Vivo Y27 5G with Dimensity 6080, which is a budget chipset, I would say. It's not exactly a, yeah, it doesn't deserve the mid-ranger status. And another thing to keep in mind is that you would not want for your emulation device gets stolen or gets the battery health reduced much because you are using it for other things. So yeah, I strongly recommend you to save up for something, say maybe a Poco F6 Pro or a used Samsung Galaxy 23. These two phones have the Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 chipset, which is said to be the best chipset for Windows emulation for now. But let's say if you have if you have saved up a lot, maybe you can consider a Snapdragon 8 Elite device, because on GameHub you can actually choose the Snapdragon 8 Elite driver, which is normally meant to be used as for emulation of other consoles, which I will never touch. But apparently the team at GameHub well, it's actually by GameSir, if I'm not mistaken, somehow managed to incorporate those drivers to the game hub. And if there are enough demand for this, I might save up for, let's say, the Red Magic 10S Pro. But we'll see about that, because that thing is incredibly expensive, and if I wanted to buy that, I need to fork up like something close to price of a PC for the highest variant. We'll see about that. I'm also considering, say, downgrading to something like, say, the iQOO Z9 with the Snapdragon 7 Gen 3. I know there's iQOO Z10 which is coming up, but the problem is the GPU of that 7S Gen 3 looks like to be a weaker one. So, but of course, this is all tentative. Everything will depend on my financial circumstances in the future. And also, please, if you are really into trying out playing Japanese freeware games on your Android device, please invest in peripherals, especially coolers and controllers, because touchscreens controls on these kind of games suck. I tend to mispress on the on-screen mapping buttons a lot, and emulating PC games on PC will get hot, and the heat will reduce your battery health furthermore than normal. So having a controller running while emulating Japanese freeware games will help increase your device longevity, and if possible, create a cooler environment than your usual room without any cooling. Again, this is to help your phone gets cooler, which increase device longevity. You don't want to have to, replace your device more often because your battery died. So yeah, that's it for this stream, and I really hope that with this you can know enough how this Furige in Android project will proceed. And the first video will be ready next week. I'm not sure which day I should post this, but yeah, there will be a decision later on once I post the schedule next week. So I'm going to switch over to the Chinese language channel tonight at 2200 UTC +8, that's 2300 Japan time. I will be playing I Wanna Be the Demon King. Hopefully I can progress well in that game. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you tonight.